Man, what a weekend.
Holy cow. Like, I'm not going to lie. I kind of didn't know all of that lined up like that on that weekend. You know what I mean? It was like, bam, like coming off from, Western
Hard
States,
rock.
Hard Rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, I kind of missed it. And, like, I dare say the one races that we're going to talk about today has gotten, it's been around for, I don't know, 5 years probably? So it's probably getting to where people know about it now. But I dare say the other race we're going to talk about, I don't know if very many people know about it yet. So, anyways, yes. Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff has come out.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get to all that. I think we'll try to blaze through some of these race results. We'll just go ahead and get started since we have a lot to cover. Speedgoat 50K was this weekend, and that Carl Meltzer started that race.
Yeah.
And it used to have prize money, like some pretty decent prize money for a 50K. It's a sky race, and I think it has like 11,000 feet of climbing or something for the 50K. And UTMB ended up buying the race from Carl. He sold it to UTMB, so they run that race now. And so and this is in Snowbird, Utah, I believe at a ski resort. And Jasmine Lothar from Canada, she just came back from a long-term injury, and she won the women's race in 6 hours and 15 minutes. And Maylee Noyes and Cody Clevin were really close for second and third, like 2 minutes apart, 6 hours and 22 minutes, and then 6 hours and 24 minutes. So pretty close on the women's side. And then the men, David Sinclair just put down a blistering 4 hours and 57 minutes, setting the course record for that race. And that was Adam Peterman's course record from 2021. He did it in 5 hours and 4 minutes. So if Adam Peterman's dropping 5 hours, 4 minutes, and David Sinclair drops 4 hours, 57 minutes, he had a hell of a day. Mm-hmm. And Sinclair has been in that race in the past. He dropped a 5 hours and 9 minutes in 2022. He won, and then he was second in 2021, 5 hours, 18 minutes. So he must have just had like the magic day.
Yeah. What do you think Metzger's opinion is now that his race is owned by UTMB? Do you think that's a decision he looks back on as like, damn it? Or you think like, I wonder what his thoughts are on something like that.
I've actually heard him talk about it several times on podcasts, and he's totally cool with his decision.
Yeah.
He breaks it down like, look, it was a business decision. He started off a long time ago working as like a bartender at that ski resort, and and he ended up becoming a professional runner and putting on this race, and and he does a lot of other entrepreneurial things going on too. But he basically says it was a business decision, and it's allowed him to live comfortably and focus on some other things that he wants to do. And he doesn't regret it. So all right. And then Sam Hendry from Canada and Scott Patterson were second and third, 5 hours 24 and 5 hours and 32. The Eiger Ultra, which is in Grindelwald in Switzerland, which is in the mountains above Interlaken. And this area, I can't even begin to explain how incredible this area is. And I was there on vacation 2 years ago, and the backdrop behind me is a picture that was taken in that area. So And the Eiger Ultra went on part of the course, and it's just awesome. So very, very awesome scenery there. The Eiger is part of these 3 mountains that are in that area. Eiger, Jungfrau, and I can't remember the other one. But anyway, so this is also a UTMB run race, which I just found out. So they must have, I don't know if they purchased them recently or if they've owned them for a few years. But Eva Marie Sperger from Germany was in the lead, but Hannah Allgood from the United States, took the lead just 4K from the finish. So
like, that's right.
2.5 miles or so from the finish, and good old USA runner Hannah Allgood takes the win in 13 hours and 9 minutes. And this is in the 100K. All right, that's their big event. The Eiger was 101, 101K, and it's actually 63 miles and almost 22,000 feet of climbing in 63 miles. So there's no shortage of vert around there. And then Sperger ended up getting second, and Sandra Savino third. And only the first 3 men finished under 12 hours, and they were quite spread out. Andreas Rittier from Italy was first, 11 hours, 5 minutes. And Ramon Manich and Alex Toda, both of Switzerland, were second and third. High Lonesome was this weekend in Colorado. Cool race organization. The race was covered by Mountain Outpost, so.
Dude, I 100% eating crow on that. Like, that is wild as shit. You and I had wrapped up our podcast last week, and we're like, oh, damn it. Like, it was like literally right after we had started recording.
I saw that. I was laying in bed scrolling YouTube, and it said, you know how it says like an upcoming live feed, notify me, and it was Mountain Outpost for High Lonesome, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna shit.
And I will admit they did a great job, like always. You know, it was they weren't saying anything crazy. It was their typical work, but absolutely on brand. Eating crow of like not even a full day later.
Yeah, well, I will say, Jam Jam's media company, which is Steep Life Media, Mountain Outpost is their division that covers races and things. They're just blowing up.
Yeah.
Like we talked about on the last episode, they just bought Ultra Running Magazine.
Yep.
So, and they're doing all these races, covering all these races now that are not even Air Viper races.
Yeah.
So,
hence.
They're becoming like a media conglomerate for ultra running, which I love because the footage is great. We've never been able to follow races like this, so super cool. So this was High Lonesome's 7th year, and in the Sawatch range, 23,500 feet of climbing, and both races were pretty close up until towards the end of the race. Laura Hansen, McKendree Hickory was the leader most of the day, but by mile 85, Laura Hansen closed to within 4 minutes. But Hickory found another gear to finish the race and ended up stretching it out and getting first, 22 hours and 19 minutes. And that is a course record for High Lonesome. Annie Hughes had the previous record, 23 hours and 40 minutes. So not only a course record for the women, but set it, an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 21 minutes better than the previous record.
Kind of moved that needle by a fair amount.
That's right.
So this is going to be an absolutely insane comment I'm getting ready to make. That race, first off, looks really hard. Like, that race looks really hard.
For sure.
It's weird though. Like, I don't feel like I don't think it has a crazy amount of climbing. I mean, it's a mountain race for sure, right? I think what makes that race really crazy is I want to say on their website they talk about it. A significant, if not all of that race, is like at 13,000.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like you are way the F up there in the air for that race. Like it's like the whole thing. Like it is like their website's so well done about how careful they were about how they laid it out. And like they like on their website, they straight come out and say, like, yeah, we made this hard. Like it like and like it's a rocky course.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's technical.
Man,
I saw the pictures, like, yeah.
Like there's a stretch that we were watching where it's like you know, I want to say it's like one of the lead runners was going up this like really long climb, like it's really it was right before the 100K mark or right around 62, and it was just like this crazy long ascent, and it was rocky as shit, dude. I was like, man, you gotta think like a person like me is hitting that thing in like the wee hours of the morning. I'm hitting that at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I am tripping and busting my ass all over the place on that rocky climb.
Yeah.
It was like an absolute beast of a race.
Yeah, I'm looking at the course details right now. The average elevation is like 10,500 feet. It does get up to 13,000 foot.
Yeah.
Anything over 10,000 feet is
that is thin air.
Yeah, it is. It definitely adds an element of difficulty to a race. And 37 hours is the cutoff.
Yeah.
66% single track, 27% mining roads, 3% gravel roads, and 4% paved roads. And those mining roads, man, sometimes those things are rocky as hell. And,
dude, yeah. Like
they're steep, like really steep.
Yeah, they're all rutted out. They're all kinds of rutted out. Like sometimes you're stepping down off some big ass rocks. Like man, those mining roads. Like now the dirt roads, I'm sure like the dirt roads, you're like, oh, thank God. Like you hit those, you're probably loving life. Man, oh man, like those mining roads. Like there's a reason they designate the difference between a mining road and a dirt road. Like those are different breeds.
But yeah, 23,000. I mean, that is pretty significant for climbing. But like you said, it's not like 30,000. It's not like Ouray, which we're going to talk about, which is like 40,000, or Hard Rock, which is 33,000. Now, so I was wondering, is this a Hard Rock qualifier? I think it is.
I don't know. You would think it. I mean, I'd be stunned if it's not.
Let's see. Yep, High Lonesome is a qualifier. Yep. I might have to look at that race because next year I'm going to need a Hard Rock qualifier.
Well, if you want to run that race next year, you better hurry up and figure out a qualifier for that race for next year.
Oh, you need a qualifier for High Lonesome?
Yeah, and I think your qualifier for High Lonesome has to be done before January 1. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lottery.
Oh, High Lonesome has the lottery now?
Looks like it. Finish a 50 miler or 100K trail race. No UTMB owned races allowed.
That is some gangster level shit. So probably like 3 or 4 years ago when I first stumbled across this race, like probably on Instagram or something like that. Like 3 or 4 years ago when I stumbled across this, that was literally one of the first things I learned about this race was even then, like this is, I think 3 years ago, even then they did not like UTMB. Like this race group has not liked UTMB from like day one. I am all the way down at that pettiness. Like
I respect it because we need both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We still need the grassroots old school trail races because the vibe at those races is usually great. It's not I don't know. It's not like it's not lost. It's more personable than having the big exhibition and all this stuff in town and all whatever. So it says finish a 50-mile or 100K trail race between January 1st and December 31st this year, or finish a 100+ mile trail race between January 1st, 2022 and December 31st, 2024. So yeah, I did Fat Dog last year, and I'm doing Mountain Lakes this year. So definitely.
So that could be a qualifier. Yeah. But yeah, that would be a super cool race to do. That would be a fun one, man.
Yeah.
I'd come out. I would fly into Denver and drive down there and throw bananas at you for that race. I'd come out.
Yeah, it would be tough. 37 hours too, that's
I mean, 37 hours, dude, I think for me, I will admit, I have in my mind, and I am getting ready to get lit up when I get ready to say what I'm getting ready to say. In my mind, though, if I think of anything west of the Mississippi, I automatically just think of soft, easy ass trails, all buffed out. You know what I mean? I just do it. I know it's not right. I know. We'll get up into the PNW and it's not all buffed out. And I mean, shit. Even when we ran at
Mount Tam.
Mount Tam, yeah, and Black Canyon, it's not buffed out. You know what I mean? But in my mind, I'm just dude, 37 hours with 23,000 feet of climb and those trails. You have better be working those downhills and any little bit of flat area you get. You have better be leading into it.
Sometimes those mountain downhills are steep and gravelly.
Yeah.
So you can't just bomb them,
Yeah.
So when they're rocky too, if you can't make up time on the downhills, it really crushes your overall pace.
Yeah. Yep.
But I did finish Bear and under 34. So I mean, Bear is not as high in elevation as this, but I don't know. It can be done. It can be done.
Oh, you're a great climber. You could do it. You'd knock that out.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but well, it would be a cool race. All right, so for High Lonesome, we already said the winner was Mackenzie Hickory. Laura Hansen, the one that almost closed in on her, finished second, 23:06. So that is good for a course record too. And Sarah Ostazuski was third, 24 hours, 56 minutes. And then for the men, Chris Hams was followed by Alex Nichols through the middle of the race and gained the ultimate lead near mile 83. Hams went on to win the race, 20 hours and 16 minutes. Nichols was second, 21:06. So almost an hour later. Ham's time ranks second best at the race behind Jimmy Elam's 2023 1942 course record. And then Elon Lieber was third, 21:46. Let's see. Oh, I did want to point out, sorry, I skipped past the men for the Eiger Ultra. I did say the men, but I thought, I know it was the 50K that there was American male, and American female both won the 50K in the Eiger. All right, so that's it for that. Let's move on to Cascade Crest, which is another famous race in Washington. That's a lottery. Hard to get into. And the winner for the females was none other than the Mill Valley's Kati Lynn, who, she is just an insanely awesome ultra runner. She got second at the one at Hurt 100 in Hawaii earlier this year. I think she's gotten second at Hurt a couple times. fun fact, she once did 16 out and backs up to the peak of Mount Tam.
Yeah. That's a lot of climbing.
Yeah, it is. So she won in sub 24. She went 23:34, and then Jesse Lang won the men's race 19:08. So
dude, that's a hard. Like my quick knee jerk reaction to gauging how hard races are is like how fast elites can do them, right? Like I feel like that's a kind of an obvious common sense kind of thing, but not only like how fast elites can do them, but like elites like Lon, right, who, as you just said, has done 16 Mount Tam repeats. Like she can clearly climb, right? Like she can clearly do vert. And for this race to take her 23 and a half hours, it's just like,
dude, it says something about the race for sure.
That race is evil. Like that race is not fun. Like you're.
So I paced my running friend out here, Ram. I paced him at Cascade Crest a couple of years ago, and I paced him on there's this if you look on YouTube, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the section from hell or whatever, and it's basically just a bunch of little rolling steep drops and climbs next to this river. There's some climbs called the Needles that are pretty tough. It's got some tough sections. You even go through that tunnel. Remember we talked about that tunnel?
Yeah.
You go through that tunnel, 2 mile long tunnel. So anyway, funny story. You see the picture here. You see the train tracks in the background. So right at the end of Cascade Crest, you have to cross these train tracks before you get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Like the finish line is right after the train tracks, maybe 50 yards away. So Ram was coming in and he was 29 hours and 50 some minutes. And he's coming up close to that train tracks and he's going for sub 30.
Yeah.
And I see, we see the train. I hear the ding, ding, ding. And me and Sean are like, move your ass across these tracks. And he was just he was struggling so much, but we made him go across the tracks. The arm bars are coming down.
That's the zig between arm bars.
He's trying to get through, and everybody was just going crazy. And he made it through, and he got his sub 30 hour.
So has the train crossing ever cost anyone a finish?
I don't know, but it's very possible.
That would be heartbreaking, man. That would be really. But you probably know, right? I'm assuming that race director probably knows when the trains run, and you would hope that they have the start and the finish kind of coordinated up. We're okay, a race isn't going to a train's not going to cost anybody a race. That would be heartbreaking.
And actually, to be fair, that year because of fires, they had to change the course.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the race always ends at that place in Easton. I think it's Easton, Washington, at a fire department. I don't know if the race always finishes there or not. So actually, I don't think it does normally. So I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. But yeah, so that was Cascade. The Wy'east Trailfest in Government Camp, which is near Mount Hood. This 50K has over 8,000 feet of climbing. A friend of mine that lives in Northern California, up by Mount Shasta, he did the race. And I was like, wow, I can't believe it has that much climbing. But Sawyer Magnet ran 5 hours, 59 minutes to win for the women. And Matt Seidel from the Bay Area overtook the race leader on the final downhill.
That's awesome.
And he won in 5 hours and 8 minutes. Tahoe Rim Trail, so the Tahoe 100 was this weekend. So that race can be really hot. Like, it starts in Carson City, Nevada.
Yeah.
And the first 10 miles are like up this trail to get up to Tahoe. And I think the last 10 miles come down that trail, and it's usually just like 100 plus degrees and baking. But
because it's an out and back, right?
It's it's so crazy, man. Like, you go up and you do all these weird like loops. Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not very straightforward. I paced part of that race one year. Maria Guy won in her first 100-mile race in 24 hours and 6 minutes for the women. And Grant Hodling won 18 hours, 31 minutes for the men. See, we had in another Colorado race. Like, I'm surprised High Lonesome and Ouray 100 are the same weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one's in Salida, one's in Ouray. But Ouray 100, this is a crazy race. It has 40,000 feet of climbing.
Do you think it's the hardest 100 in the U.S.?
Actually, I don't know, because I don't think the trails. I think there's more fire road and stuff in this race than hard rock. But I mean, with the exception of Barkley, it's got to be it's got to be one of the most climbing of a 100-miler in the U.S. Let's see. Elizabeth Butler and Seth Orm won for the women and the men. And get these winning times. Okay?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Butler for the women, 35 hours, 28 minutes. Dude. That's the winning time. And then for the men, Seth Orm, 29 hours, 25 minutes. So like almost 30 hours for the winner, which is, like way longer than the winners of Hard Rock. So, and they had mild weather this year. Usually they have like major thunderstorms and stuff, mudslides.
Did you see the other performances of note that they put down on there?
Oh, Howard Wharton in 50 hours, 37 minutes.
50 hours, dude.
After missing last year's cutoff by over 6 hours, but having no choice but to get himself back. Simone Austin, 49:59. After DNFing on the course before priors. What's the cutoff?
The cutoff must be forever and a day.
Like, I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be more than 48 hours.
It's got to be more than 50 hours. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the Howard dude finished in 50:37 and got to finish this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see here. Here it is.
I'm scrolling down.
52 hours.
52 hours, dude. Golly days. That is a lot of suffering.
Well, I did 48 hours of Fat Dog. I know what it's all about.
Oh man, that is a lot of suffering.
It's horrible. You start hallucinating like crazy.
Man,
it's brutal. I can't. It just blows my mind the amount of climbing. Almost 42,000 feet. This website says.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wrap my head around there being a harder true 100. You know what I mean? Like it.
I agree.
And kind of go back to what you're saying, like the weather. Like, I don't know what it is. Like the San Juans, man.
Oh yeah.
They kick up some hellacious weather.
Oh yeah,
it's just
hail,
just insane.
lightning.
Yeah,
People have almost been struck by lightning on handies during Hard Rock.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Is Ouray 100 a Hard Rock qualifier?
Dude, could you imagine it not being like that? Wouldn't even make sense.
I don't think it is. I'm looking at the website right now.
That almost has to be some sort of like rivalry of just saying like, no, you're not maybe a qualifier, just be a jerk. You know, like
Right.
you're.
That's just crazy to me.
Look at that! I ran a Hard Rock qualifier.
Tahoe.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Did you get in the lottery?
I don't even think I did the lottery. I don't even think I did it.
Well, if you do another one, you'll have well, no, that doesn't. You have to get in to collect tickets. Okay.
Yeah.
In the lottery. All right.
I mean, we still have like, it's funny because like I just scroll down, we still have like there's still 3 really cool races to talk about because like the other one, and like we have a labs race to talk about, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Like this is a race that I have thought about. Like this would be kind of fun. Like this, no, we've actually talked about this when we were talking about the other one that he drops you off 300 miles away from the start. But like Vol State 500K, which I just absolutely love the fact he calls it 500K. You know, I don't know why, but like Vol State 500K, just
I
know, man, just brutal the way he had you going across the state of Tennessee. So
yep, and it's in a diagonal. It's in a diagonal route. Starts in the northwest corner, I believe, and he actually makes them take a ferry over across the Mississippi River over to Missouri, and that's where they start the race. They get on the ferry, and then that's when the race starts. So they take a ferry across, then they get on the ferry, they come back.
I love the fact that the winning time, Chris Vanderdoe is 3 days, 11 hours, and 29 minutes, and it's a like I don't think. Can you get support on Vol?
Yeah, so you have the option. You can do it crude or screwed.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, there's some stipulation with that. Like, if you're running it crude, you can't get aid from outside sources or
because they do have they have like trail angels or something like that they call them, or route angels or something like that.
Well, so since this race takes place every year on the same weekend or the same time period, people along the route they know about the race now. So they'll often set stuff out for runners, coolers of Gatorade and ice water, and they'll say like, you can camp out in my yard, or
so cool. I mean, listen, and this is the kind of race that, like, you know what, like maybe I just put this on the radar for next year, and like in October when I'm allowed to start like getting back into running it, like maybe we'll just have this like plugged out there, because like the cool thing about this long of a race is you don't really have to like, you're not pushing it super hard. Like you can actually like kind of,
you stop at a hotel, get a shower, wash your clothes in the sink.
I am all about the sleeping in people's yards. That would be absolutely awesome.
Hell yeah. Sleeping in, churches, like, or at churches. It's 314 miles and diagonal across the whole state of Tennessee. It's usually hot AF.
Humid.
Humid. I would say, let's see, the winning time, 3 days, 11 hours, 29 minutes, like you mentioned. I'd say that's pretty good for 314 miles in the Tennessee heat and humidity.
And I mean, shit, even Shauna's time of 4 days and 10 hours. You know what I mean? Basically 1 day later. But I mean, I bet I just have a weird sneaking suspicion that she looked much, much more put together than he did when he finished. Right? Because like I'm like that's like I doubt she's really a full day slower. I bet she's like, you know what? Like I'm going to enjoy maybe an extra hour or two or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that
Shauna
is
Wentlet.
yeah, dude, that is a fascinating race in my mind.
It is. It is. What's more appealing to you? This race where you know the course well in advance and people, trail angels, can set stuff
Yeah.
out, or the other one, which we're actually going to talk about again later, the HOTS, which is Heart of the South.
Yeah.
That's where you park in the hayfield in
Top of
Georgia,
the yeah.
top of a
So
hill, and
I
then they
think
drive you somewhere to a hotel, and they give you the course the night before.
yeah.
When we're going to talk about it again because I heard some stuff about
Oh yeah.
it. Yeah,
So in my mind, Vol State 500K is just more intriguing for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I think it's the order of the two races. I actually think Vol State 500K has been going on for quite a while. I think that's a
yeah,
relatively old race that he's had going on. So
it is.
I think that just has like a weird like nostalgia for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's more established.
Yeah. And I just think it'd be, I don't know. I do kind of think it's like a weird merging. You know, what's interesting is I think it's probably the closest to like a European ultra that we probably have in the US, right? Like it's probably the closest thing in a sense of like it's that long because that's how far it is from this point to that point. And oh,
Yeah,
by the way, you're going to run through the cities, and the cities are going to come out. That they
yeah,
like the neighborhoods are the ones that's coming out and supporting stuff. And so I think there's just something in my mind about it that makes it more appealing in that form. I don't know. Now,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. There's also a really stupid part of me that's like it'd be kind of cool to bump both of these out, you know, back to back years or something like that.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure. And there's actually another race called Third Circle of Hell.
that is awesome. That is
and
awesome.
and there's like something if you complete Vol State, HOTS, and Third Circle of Hell, you get like some special finish.
I
Um,
can't. Could you imagine if your special finish is a guaranteed entry into Barclays? So you're like, what the fuck? Like, what a shit! like,
yeah,
what a shitty award! Like,
I know.
I got
Like,
bullshit
yeah,
back.
like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I think if I ever got into Barclays, I think I would do my best to get one loop in and be like, fuck this shit. Like I think I would just like I would just want it. I just want to be able to say I did one loop.
Yeah,
But like what's wild is like one loop sometimes takes people like insane amount of hours. So
yeah.
anyways, yeah, fascinating.
I would like give it all I had for one loop, try to keep up with like John Kelly, just so you know where to
go. Absolutely burning it down and just like
just so you know where to go, you know.
Fucking full sin, brother. Like on your left, John.
Yeah. Right. Okay, next race.
This is the one.
So Aravaipa bought out a race company in the Northeast. I can't remember the name of the race company, but so this is an Aravaipa race now, but it's called Jigger Johnson. And it's named after a legendary trapper in the American East. The course is in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. White Mountains, any New Hampshire mountains, technical as hell, steep. This is 108 miles, and they have 32,000 feet of climbing. So
I cannot believe that this race is only 108 miles and 32,000 feet of climb, and it has the finish rate that it has, and it has the cutoff that it has. It is bonkers, dude.
Do you know what the cutoff is?
I want to say it's like 48 hours or more. Like it's like, it might be 50 some hours. It is forever and a day you get to run this thing.
Yeah. Looks like there was finisher up to 51 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah, so I think it's like 52 or 54. It's crazy as shit. It is nuts how long you get to, and like it absolutely destroys people.
Can you still see my screen here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So to your point, the winning time for the women was, let's see, 37 hours and 47 minutes. Katja Fink. So if the winning time is 37 hours,
yeah,
this is Dude, like hardcore.
So last year or the year before, Lee Connor, right? Lee Connor won the women's race, and she barely made cutoff.
Oh my God.
Like she made cutoff by she made it by a couple hours, right? But
yeah,
fuck, still, you know what I mean? It's your winning woman, and oh, by the way, for the folks that are not from like the East or hell, Lee's won shit out West, so Lee is
she's badass.
I mean, she should be nationally known. I want to say she's been up for national awards, so she's pretty well established.
Yeah.
I mean, when Lee Connor struggles to win a race, by cut, it is fucking bunk. This race is diabolical. But
it must be. Keith Nadu won for the men 30 hours and 27 minutes. So that's got to be moving for that course.
Yeah, only 27 people finished this year. It's crazy. This race is so messed up. I remember last year reading stuff about it, and was the White Mountains. I was like, I wonder. And so I Googled where it was, right? And I happened to see it's up in New Hampshire. And one of my AEs, she lives in or around Boston. And I'm like, hey, by the way, have you ever heard of the White Mountains? Have you ever gone out there on vacation? And she's like, oh yeah, that's kind of where the poor people go to vacation. She's kind of making fun. And I'm like, okay. So that then caused me to go look at I Google mapped White Mountains. Dude, some of the Google map pictures you look at and you're just like, fuck that shit. I don't want any of that smoke. I don't want any of that. I mean, it's bad when the Google pictures are no, I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
I do not need that. There is I wish I could share my screen super easy. I'm looking at a picture right now. Hold on. Actually, I am going to drop this to you because this is it. This is the kind of nonsense that it is. So get ready to pull this up. Where I was like, this is just a hard no for me. I don't need. Could you imagine 108 miles of what I just sent you?
Yeah, that's just nothing but big boulder, rocks.
And I was like, that is nuts. It's just absolutely brutal. And then there's a photo a couple down that looks equally brutal. But it is, I mean, it
looks
is
beautiful though.
Oh, it's so pretty up there. Keep scrolling that way, and you're going to come to a picture. There's another picture coming up here in a second. It might be the next one.
Oh, maybe I went the wrong way. Yeah, it looks like some nice country.
Yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful. But here's this picture, and this one's super cool. But same thing. I can't imagine climbing 108 miles up and down what I just sent you either. It is.
Yeah. So it's just logs for steps.
Logs for steps. It would be exhausting. Like I know I am tripping all the way up those things. You know what I mean? Like you're just.
Oh, I guarantee you, that's a tough race, no doubt.
Oh, it's really fascinating race.
And then speaking of races in the Northeast, Vermont 100 was this weekend, and this is like super classic, one of the original 100-mile races.
Yeah. Yep.
The cool thing about Vermont 100 is I think they do a horse race at the same time.
I think so too.
And it's on, from my understanding, it's like not really technical at all. It's on like wide dirt roads mostly. And it's rolling. I mean, I think there's still like, I don't know how much climbing, like 16 to 18,000 feet of climbing or something.
It's actually rolling. Yeah, it's actually very, very, very similar to Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they give you, Vermont will give you the extra time to finish. Old Dominion.
I don't know. I don't know what the cutoff is at Vermont, but
I thought it's 30. The other thing that's interesting about Vermont, while you look that up, the other thing that's interesting about Vermont is I'm like 99% positive about this, that their course is not public facing because so much of their course goes on private land, and they don't want people going there and running on the private land before the race. So their course is not it's not public facing at all, which is really kind of cool. It's really kind of interesting. So this is also one of those races that kind of lives like on my bucket list. That'd be super cool to try to knock out sometime.
Yeah, I definitely am interested in Vermont. This says the 100-mile cutoff time is 10 a.m. on Sunday. I don't know when it starts though. Looks like 4 a.m. on Saturday.
So math, it's 30 hours, right?
Okay. Yeah, 24 hours would be 4 a.m. on Sunday. 25.
Look at us doing math.
29. Actually, that's.
No, what are you
talking about? That's right. 30 hours. Sorry, I've had one too many of these fat tires. 17,000 feet of ascent, 68 miles of rolling dirt roads, 30 miles of horse trail, and 2 miles of pavement.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, it is if you looked at it and Old Dominion side by side, they're almost identical races. It's just that you get the 2 extra hours to finish Vermont.
And I think Old Dominion does have a little more like single track.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Vermont, Old Dominion definitely has. I mean, shit, Old Dominion only has like 18% single track. It's not a ton, but brother, I'm here to tell you, it has ruined my life twice.
Yeah.
It is 18 miles that adds up really quick.
So that can make a huge difference when it's a 28-hour cutoff. At Old Dominion. It says the course crosses 30 pieces of private property, like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's really fast. Yeah, so
they only have permission to use those trails on race weekends, so they do not publish a race map.
Yeah.
Runners are not allowed to pre-run the course. So I thought there was something about the buckle, though, but maybe not. That's Old Dominion, right? You got to finish in 24 hours to get a buckle.
Old Dominion. Now, that silver buckle is, boy, to get that silver buckle, boy, from that would be.
You got to hold like a 15-minute pace for 100 miles.
Yeah, it would. Oof, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So.
Dude, it has a huge run. Like, it has 450 runners. I bet it never sells out.
Vermont?
Yeah.
I think it does sell out, actually. I mean, I don't know, but
that's
I think
crazy,
it's hard to get into Vermont. I thought.
450. Oh, you might be right, because Stephanie Campbell got in and was really upset when she couldn't. But it's funny because I'm looking at their front page and it's 450 runners and 70 horses. Awesome.
So here's the breakdown. All 100-mile finishers get a pair of Patagonia shorts, which that pair of Patagonia shorts that you left here that one time that I kind of adopted.
Yeah.
Those things they were awesome, but they turned to like Kleenex.
Oh, really?
Got a big hole in them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'd run this stupid race just for a pair of Patagucci shorts. You don't have to give me anything else. I'll go do that shit for Patagonia shorts.
And all 100-mile solo finishers also get a Vermont 100 solo cup. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what a solo cup is, but
maybe no pacer.
Oh, solo finish. Oh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
There is something about that. And also, here's a breakdown for the buckle. If you finish in under 24 hours, you get a large buckle. If you finish in greater than 24 hours, you get a small buckle.
I will say, when I was really when I was in much better shape, like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was looking for like the two races where I'm like, okay, I can get a sub 24. It was up at Vermont or at Old Dominion, and I very bullheadedly took on Old Dominion. I really think hindsight 2020, when I was in better shape, if I would have just like maybe took a little slice of humble pie and went to Vermont.
Yeah,
I think Vermont has a better sub 24-hour finish rate than Old Dominion does by just a little bit. Because, I mean, they are very similar races, very, very similar. So
yeah, just the non-technical dirt roads and, that would be there. The whole race sounds like it's fairly runnable,
Yeah.
And even if you walk the rolling uphills, you can make up the time on the downs. So
I would assume, and you know what they say about assuming, I would assume Vermont in mid-ish, late-ish July. I'm assuming that is one hot-ass, humid. They probably have deer flies the size of fucking Volkswagen Beetles.
The worst.
Flying around. Yeah, I bet they have big-ass horse flies up there.
Ugh.
But I don't know, man. This might I might need to revisit throwing this bad boy on my wish list.
Yeah, I would love to do Vermont someday for sure. Maybe like in an off year of Hard Rock qualifiers. Yeah, cool. All right. So let's see what else we got here. We talked about this. The only reason I want to bring this up is we talked about this race before. It's called Many on the Genny.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Letchworth State Park, and that's in like the Grand Canyon of the East or whatever. But that race was this weekend, and Joshua Zubler won the 45 miler in 6 hours 53 minutes, and Lindsay Perino won for the women in 7 hours and 22 minutes. So. Okay, let's move on to one of the feature races, and that is Badwater 135. And we're probably the first to be covering this because I mean, it just started on Monday, and let's look at what happened when it did first start. And I didn't even know this till before we recorded, and you pointed it out.
Yeah,
that they had some crazy ass rainstorms at the beginning of the race in Badwater in July in Badwater Basin. It's typically like 120 to 130 degrees. So how a rainstorm came about, and like you said, there's like these look like big drops.
Big drops, dude. Like those are hurting. Those are hurting bad.
And these runners they're like walking in that one video.
That's a cool video right there. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
They're just walking right there. They're all walking. Badwater is like a gradual climb out of Badwater Basin forever. For miles and miles, it's a gradual climb on pavement. The whole race is paved. That's one thing I wanted to mention about the Vol State is that's one thing I would have trouble with is all that pavement.
Yeah.
You know, same with Badwater. I would have trouble with the heat too. Obviously, everybody has trouble with the heat, most of all. But 135 miles of pavement just sounds brutal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I checked the tracking last night.
Yeah.
And I swear Pete Koselnick was like in second place.
What?
But like when I just looked before we recorded at the finishing times, he was not. He's actually. Let's see. I'll share this screen.
He finished 19th.
Yeah, he finished 19th.
Yep.
So
it still breaks my heart a little bit to see him register as Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah. And I did live in Northeast Ohio for a while.
Yeah, he's a Wadsworth boy.
Yeah. So the winner of Badwater in sub 23 hours and 29 minutes was Sean Burke of Durango, Colorado. And the first place female was Line Kalaskiner from Lorksvåg, Norway. And she finished in 27 hours and 36 minutes. And she was second overall. And then, I was kind of looking because I'm pretty sure Jay Smithsberger was there crewing somebody at Badwater and pacing. And I was trying to figure out who he was pacing.
I mean, shit, dude. There's 5 or so people from Cincinnati.
A lot of Cincinnati. Chad Wolf.
Yeah, you got Chad Wolf. And
Pete Koselnick, who used to be from Ohio.
Used to be, yeah. But then you have the typical people, right? You have
Harvey.
Harvey was there. There's a lady named Charlene Badenhop, who I don't know. Oh, and while scrolling this list, I just saw someone from where'd they go? Chagrin Fault, like up in also
Walter Orwin.
Yeah, so that might be who I feel like that's who he would maybe know, but I don't know. But yeah, there's multiple people from Ohio out there to finish that race, a lot of that is because of Harvey, in all fairness. Like you look at how many people are from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I would venture to guess they all run with Harvey on a fairly regular basis. You know what I mean? Like I would venture like they all know him somehow, some way. They probably shuffle to work with him every morning or something like that.
Well, and for those of you who are listening that don't know about Badwater, which I'm sure most of you do, but if you don't, it's a 135-mile race from Badwater Basin, which is the lowest point in the United States. It's like 284 feet below sea level, maybe. And it goes to the Mount Whitney portal. Mount Whitney is the tallest peak in the continental U.S. The tallest peak's in Alaska, but the tallest peak in the continental U.S. is Mount Whitney. The race used to go up to the summit of Mount Whitney, I think, but they couldn't secure permits for all the runners, so they have to end the race at the Mount Whitney portal right now, which is like the furthest you can go without going up Mount Whitney. So It's at like 9,000 or 10,000 feet above sea level. So anyways, you go from like one of the hottest places on earth to, it's in mid-July in Badwater basin, which can be 120 to 130 degrees out. They used to start in the morning, but now they have to start in the evening. There was a reason for that. I think we talked about it in a previous episode. I can't remember. But anyway, and then it finishes in the Sierra Mountains. So it's a pretty cool
race. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going forever. And if you get into that, I think it's like $5,000. Like, it's a lot. I think it's a lot to charity and whatnot, but I think it costs like $5,000 to do that race. So,
well, then never mind how like it's got to be one of the, like, could you imagine trying to crew that thing? Like, it's insane. Like, you're not allowed to leave your runner.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you have to. It is crazy. It is an absolutely unhinged race.
There's serious rules for the crew.
Yeah.
And I think you used to need 2 crew vehicles or I can't remember. You have to have so many people as crew. They have to carry so much. Like there's just all these rules. But so anyway, so that race started on Monday and finished up, Tuesday night, I guess it finished up for Sean Burke.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wait, I see something. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this race is how many like older runners do it. Like there's a pretty old, like scrolling through here, like there's a 60, there's two, I can immediately see 2 65-year-olds that finished it.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean? Yeah.
Now there's a 69-year-old that DNF'd really early. I'm not talking shit, but I mean you're 69, so I'm not going to throw a whole lot of shade at you. But, they made it to mile 42.
Yeah.
And they got whacked. But I mean, shit. I mean, there are some really up there in the years. It is really an interesting race.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, it's one of those races I like to kind of observe from afar. I wouldn't even be opposed to crewing for it.
I'd love to crew for it. I think it'd be super cool to crew for it. Hey, do you know what the youngest finisher is this year?
No, but I thought I saw some headline about a young runner. 19?
Yep.
Yeah.
A girl from PA, a woman at 19-year-old woman. A woman from PA.
Kaylee Frederick.
Dude, 19.
That's
good. Like, how are you even mentally ready to wrap your head around some shit like that at 19 years old?
I would say running more than 1 or 2 miles was at 19 was the furthest thing from my mind.
Yeah. And like she killed it too.
Yeah.
Like she did really well.
36 hours and 13 minutes.
Dude, she ran it last year too.
Oh, at 18?
At 18. Her occupation last year, a high school student.
That's her occupation.
That is bonkers.
Wow. That's impressive. Good for her.
And she finished that year too. Dude, what
her occupation now is college student.
Yeah, college student. Dude, she's a badass. She's done Badwater. Like, she's done like that Salt into the Sea. She's done it. Cape Fear. Dude, wow. What the F?
Keys 100.
Right. She might be one. Man, she might be one to put on the radar. Like, we might have to throw her on the radar a little early and like just see where her career goes.
Breaking news, people. She's done Eastern States 100.
Dude, she is. She's from Johnstown.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? She's from right there.
That's right. She did Badwater, Salt and Sea. Oh, she was running races at 17.
dude.
Canal 100, C&O Canal 100. She ran races at 16, dude. Pine Creek Challenge 100.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Oh, and at 15, she was doing 50 milers. She did a 50K
Dude.
at 14 years old.
She did Laurel Highlands. She did Laurel Highlands.
Wow.
And took third for
Wow. She did Heiner at 18. Oh, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
All right. Like everyone put the Kaylee Frederick.
Yeah.
And mark it down. All
right. So we're going to get into some news now, moving on from Badwater. Did you mentioned something to me that I was not aware of before we started recording about Rim to River?
Yeah.
So looks like for this year there's a wait list, but next year you said they were going to a lottery system.
Yeah, and so they have a couple big breaking news. This one, they're going to a lottery for their 100-miler, so there's that. The other thing that's kind of cool that they're doing is so, like, for those who don't know, Rim to River is West Virginia's first 100-mile race and only 100-mile race still yet. But the camping ground that it starts off at, the guy was just like I think he just caught the bug for being a race director, because so now he had Rim to River, and then after Rim to River, I want to say like after the first year it ran, he started another race, and it was a 50K in a winter.
Cabin Fever.
Yeah, called Cabin Fever, and it's February 15th, and like, dude, like, that is like, I have not seen very many pictures of that race without snow and ice. So
yeah, I bet. Oh, right there.
Right there you go. And so he had that. And now the race that I didn't know about, there's another race I didn't know about called Falling Water 100K. Now that one sounds a little miserable because it's 4 loops of 25Ks. 25. It's 4 25K loops. Well, I didn't know about that race. And then so I just found out that Chaz, as a matter of fact, Chaz or Pete, one of those two, had sent it over like, hey, look, there's like this like trifecta, and it's called the NRG trifecta, is what it is. NRG, by the way, New River Gorge. So New River Gorge, interesting fact about it, it's the newest national forest.
It's a national park.
It's brand new. It's a brand new national park. So the year I ran, Rim to River was its first year. That year I ran it, New River Gorge still was not a national park. It became a national park the next year. And so that's how new it is. Like, it's only a couple years old.
Wow.
And so that's what New River Gorge is. And then for those of us on the East Coast, or maybe the West Coast folks, the reason a lot of people recognize New River Gorge, what they often affiliate with it, is like this like badass huge bridge that stretches across New River Gorge, and it basically connects these two areas of West Virginia, where I guess back in the day they used to have to do this crazy way to get around. But anyways, it is a pretty cool race. Like I will say, Rim to River was a really, really cool race. Has a lot of really cool like history to it. Like if you're, weird in a way, it might be a weird niche group of people, but if you are interested in like coal mining and coal mining history, there is a lot of weird history that goes into this race. But anyways, the two big breaking news was A, they're going to a lottery, and then B, they introduced this New River Gorge. If you sign up to do the New River Gorge, it automatically guarantees you entry into all 3 races.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So the 50K is in like February, I think you said.
Yep, mid-February. The 100K is
In
late April.
April.
Yep.
And
Which
then Rim to River is what, June?
nope, Rim to River is very early November.
Oh, wow. So it's quite a ways away from the other two.
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe you could use the other two races as like your build up, but you have to basically take some time off after that 100K and then start your training block.
I mean, you really do. Like, you really have to. Now, I will say, so as a matter of fact, oh, you know what? Now, I'll tell you where I got really lucky is I went ahead and did the year I ran Rim the River is the year that I DNF'd Old Dominion at like mile 96.
Ugh.
It's the year I got lost. So I came into that thing, like I came into Rim to River, and like even with that, like I ran that race in June, right? Is when Old Dominion is.
Yeah.
Even from then, like I was in such good shape. I came in, I basically didn't do shit, really. I mean, I did like maintenance miles until November.
Yeah.
And I came into Rim to River in like killer great shape. I was like, let's fucking go, baby.
Yeah, you had a good race there, right?
Yeah. And like it's not an easy 100, but it's not going to wreck you either. You know what I mean? Like you can go there and lay one down because you essentially have 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Well, 4. You have 4 okay size climbs.
Yeah.
You have 4 pretty good climbs on it.
It says
and
12,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah. So you have 4 okay climbs on it. And I mean, it's exactly what the race says. It's rim to river, right? So you're starting up on the rim of the New River Gorge, and you run for a little while up around that campground, and then you drop down, and then you're down along the river, and you run along the river. You go through like ghost villages and stuff like that, and old mining towns, and then once you get to a certain point, you climb right back up out of that valley, out of that gorge. Flat area a little bit, and then you drop down again, and you drop down right underneath that big iconic bridge I was talking about.
Oh, cool.
And then you climb back up and kind of come out right by the bridge, and then right back down. It's out and back. So the exact way you went is the exact way you come back. So you drop back down again, you climb right back up, and then the finish, I would say you're probably not more than 10 miles away from the finish line. And it's like, it's just like climbing up and out of that valley. You're like, damn it. But you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Once I get to this dirt road, there's like this dirt road up there that you kind of remember. Like, okay, once I get to this dirt road, I am chef's kiss. Like I am good to hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a little more digestible when you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
But very cool race. If you're an East Coaster and you're looking for something a little different, you know what I mean? It's a pretty fun race and pretty good people. It's interesting. Yeah. There you go. Look at it. Like, it's just it's no mystery when you're going down along the river. Like, it's no mystery at all.
No, there's some pretty steep. That's a pretty steep drop and a pretty steep ascent. Right there, like mile 40, like 42. So, you drop like straight down, like 2,000 feet.
Yeah, mile 42, and you drop down. That's when you're right underneath the bridge, and then there's that climb back up, and you should be around like mile 55. You climb back up, and then you can see it's like right back down again because you go right back down underneath the bridge. You go right back up again. And then out there, like, what is that? Where the like you can see there toward the end when you're 10-ish miles out or so, 20-ish or whatever it might be. That's that final like mother effer.
So it's like sort of like a 50-mile out and back.
It's like 55 out because you don't do a loop when you come back in. There's like a loop you do on your way out that you don't do on your way back in.
Gotcha.
It took me forever to do that math. I'm like, wait a second. Is this effing thing 110 miles? And then like it took me forever. And I think Pete's one had like, hey, dipshit. There's a 5-mile loop right here. You don't have to go like,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. You know what? I think we're gonna save this this FKT, the 58 14ers. We'll save that one for next week because we're up against it. But
Yeah.
I did want to talk really quickly to follow up on our conversation about HOTS.
Yeah.
Heart of the South. So I heard on the Adventure Jogger podcast that that girl, that Gina Kimrey, she's the one that. So this HOTS is, they drop, you park in a hayfield, they drive you like anywhere between 340 and 380 miles somewhere.
Yeah.
And
in any direction.
You stay in a hotel the night before, supposed to be near the start line.
Yeah.
And they give you the map the night before of the race. So, and then they shuttle you to the start line in the morning. Well, she said, she was on the Adventure Jogger podcast, and she said on the way down, I started in Destin, Florida, Destin Beach. On the way down there, the guy, I think his name's Carl, said the hotel, they have an event going on and couldn't accommodate all the runners. So some of you need to stay at this other hotel, which is like an hour and a half or something away from, hour and a half or 2 hours away from the start. So then they got the map the night before. They had to get up, the ones that had to stay in the hotel like far away.
Yeah.
They had to like get up at like 3 a.m. to get on a shuttle, or 4 a.m. to get on a shuttle to go to Destin.
I mean, when you're getting ready to run 300 miles, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what does it really matter?
Yeah. What's an extra couple hours of sleep?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So she's the one. Remember, we were looking at the results, and we were like, "Why is somebody DNF?" It's 384 miles. It ended up being.
Yes.
Remember, there was a DNF at mile 382.
Yes. It was her.
It was her.
Oh.
Gina Kimrey. The title of the podcast episode is "A DNF for the Ages."
Oh, dude, that sucks.
And it was crazy. So she was talking about, she was hallucinating so bad. She just she was so tired that like when she was getting towards the later segments of the race, she just one night she just got in her sleeping bag, kind of out of the way from this road, and just went to sleep. And when she woke up, she was still completely out of it. And in her mind, she was done. Her mind, she thought she had a phone call with whoever from the race, Carl, and she thought she was done. And he was telling her, you better get walking or whatever. You better get moving. And she thought that he meant she was out of the race, but she still had to walk back. And so she was all mad, why is he pushing me? And people, all these people that had finished were calling her and saying, you need to get moving. And she's like, why are they all yelling at me? She was so she couldn't understand. She was like, I was all upset because I didn't finish the race and these people are yelling at me. And
dude.
And then the one friend of hers that she was with for a long time called and finally convinced her that she's still in the race, that she had to get running, get moving. And she gave it everything she had, and she did that climb all the way up. And I don't know if you remember, there was some private, there was a gated community, whatever, that they couldn't go through, so they had to reroute around. And anyways, the guy Carl and her friend were at the gate, and at mile 382, she had 2 miles to go, and then that's where she timed out.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
She had a rough one.
Yeah. Extreme heat, lack of sleep, hallucinations, but she didn't give up.
Yeah.
So,
damn,
pretty crazy anyway.
That is crazy as hell.
All right. Well, good episode. Lot of fun races happened over the weekend.
Tons. I gotta remember next year. Late July, boy. It's mid-July next year. I gotta remember it's popping.
It's jam packed between Hard Rock and then all these. And yeah. All right. Cool. Well, anything else?
Nope. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
See y'all next week.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Numbers have been up. Downloads have been up. So we appreciate you, and we hope you're enjoying the show.
Cool.
So, all right. We'll see everybody on the next one.